r/AskReddit. Candiacarol says, what pisses you off about your job? Why do you want to quit? Beneficial Course 69 says, too much stress for what I do and don't get paid enough. Ice Cream Poop says, people who are just as incompetent as me are running the place but getting paid for X because the current CEO got a job because she, Ed the founder, and she brought in her friends as directors and VPs. Etethibert says, get to, I'm my friend. Unseasoned Ravioli says, not getting paid enough. Forget by Apirit says, all feedback is critical. The attaboys are half-footed and generic. It's fair to be annoyed by a mistake. It's not fair to ignore the mountain of good work sitting next to that mistake. Jurassic Band says, well, right now they are talking about bringing us into the office more often for no reason. It's a far enough drive for me where I'm strongly considering looking for something closer. My dog Seychello says, my boss yells at me. Unholy_Roller says, the company keeps trying to have its cake and eat it. During crazy boom years it'll go 200%. We can't let these opportunities pass us by, so everyone works like a dog to get stuff done. And when things slow down to normal it's all cuts and hiring freezes, even though they already didn't have enough people before. So you work like a dog to get stuff done. Meanwhile fundamental problems in groups remain unaddressed for literal decades because it's all about shoving crap out the door and no one gets assigned to fixing anything. Now things suck so hard and they can't be ignored, but when they do assign people to fix stuff, they don't unassign other work. Instead, you have to do your regular job, takes more than 40 hours to do that already because greed, and also repair the company too, literal multi-man jobs, because of how long shit has been left to fester. This environment pushes out anyone half competent, so it's a constant cycle of the most apathetic people left over, or poor bastards, that can't quit for whatever reason. Lungjumping_rad_4431 says, different standards for people in the same work group / certain colleagues not being held accountable for shitty work practices. Thaddeus Jones says, being a non-profit, we pay lower than market rates for people with qualifications that are highly in demand in the commercial sector, so we have high turnover and poor continuation of skills from departing workers to new hires. But really I could just say, being a non-profit and stop right, I'm there. Anxita Prime 0117 says, I get verbally abused by drunks. Get told to gym this. A common response I receive to hi, how are you is insert drink here. I work long shifts with no breaks, think 9-12 hours. People get mad at me when their food takes more than 20 minutes to arrive at the table. Let's forget about the fact that I physically don't have time to eat at all. I can't use the restroom when I want to, which has totally messed up my bowels. I had a man tell me you, Ed up when I closed the kitchen 30 minutes early. BC the chef sliced off a chunk of their finger. I couldn't serve food. Blood was everywhere. It's not safe / sanitary. But I, Ed up. BC he couldn't place his order 5 minutes before kitchen close. I hate my job. The money isn't worth the mental / physical exhaustion. Vlosper21 says, not being able to communicate with co-workers. Alna off the world says, I'm severely bored all the time. My entire workday can be accomplished in 3 hours or less. While I like the owner of the company, there is no shot he would ever let me work remote, even though I could 100% do my job from home or at least hybrid. I have to pick up the slack of his son because he is incompetent. I get paid very well for how little I do, but I have no sense of accomplishment and know there is nowhere else to move in this company because of how small it is. Siren Skommerkilling says, favoritism. My colleague is a bully and has driven her employees to quit to go on sick leave. She harasses them. but her team performs well and makes sales, so she wins awards. Even when you report it. Bachamo says, I retired early when they took away work from home. The department was short-staffed with WFH, it's worse now. It's a traditional says. Monotony, low pay, excess of hours. Late nights between 10 PM to 6 AM. 72-hour work weeks on a bad day. r/AskReddit. Billy Bippington says, those who didn't have sex until marriage, how amazing was your wedding night? Livius1 says, pretty damn amazing. Don't get me wrong, the sex was terrible and it took about 30 minutes to get the mechanics down, but we were laughing and having a blast the whole time. Ray said Wolves9 says, look at MR 30 minutes over here. Brunono_ says, wholesome. Bobbypops11 says, it was great once I realized I had to put my penis inside her vagina. Federal College says, you put your key in the hole to unlock the baby. Rivk says, I'll never forget the look on my husband's face. Sometimes when I'm sad and can't sleep, I think about that night. Honestly can't remember the details of the deed, except that it was definitely satisfactory all around, but I will always remember how he looked at me. Not that he wouldn't have looked at me like that the first time, if it had been earlier, but it was this incredible capstone to our wedding day. 15 years together, and things only continue to improve. 10/10. Dramian F says, I had a friend who was planning on waiting until her wedding night. Fiancé was more religious than her, but then got it in her head that the hottest thing in the world would be to convince her true believer fiancé to frick her the night before the wedding after waiting 2 years. It took some work and alcohol, but she did it. Apparently it was amazing, despite the lack of experience, because the forbidden aspect got both of them all hot and bothered. That and they were both really horny. Halbra_ says, the hottest thing in the world would be to convince her true believer fiancé to frick her the night before the wedding after waiting 2 years. Not gonna lie, that actually is kind of hot. And at least this way they got to confirm they were compatible before the wedding. Nobake947 says, F27. I waited until my wedding night. In all honesty, I did not enjoy it. It hurt pretty bad and I bled. The next day it hurt to walk, and my area felt bruised. With patience and time the sex is now great. So unfortunately it was not amazing for me. Lol. Giahodusvus says, it was amazing, but definitely took practice, and was different than anticipated. We just took it slow and had fun. Sex is way better now, because we know each other more, and are veterans lol. Just takes time, patience, and good communication. Lord0909 says, these comments are more wholesome than I thought. I figured it would be mostly no, don't do that, it's horrible, you have to have sex with strangers or you'll be a disappointment. Not Quiteda Quit says, I suspect that's why the post is only 64% upvoted. People were hoping for more horror stories to reaffirm their preconceptions. I'm as far from the wait until marriage mentality as you can get, but there's no denying this site can be downright intolerant when it comes to certain groups and practices. Working_Tomatolo_76 says, we had no idea how to do it. I won't give the play-by-play, but it ended because I suddenly remembered I needed a condom, turned too fast, and slapped her face with my erect dick. This was all too shocking for her, and we called it a night. We did eventually get to do it, but for many other reasons, unrelated to that incident, I hope we didn't last long. Too much religion is a hell of a drug. Ironic, right? Carrot HEHEHE. Audit says, good but not amazing. We were tired, but we did it a couple of times. 19 plus years later, and we've improved quite a bit. VT_Squire says, what I'm gathering from this thread is that there's nowhere to go but up when you start at the bottom. Justin Bailey says, not great. We were tired and couldn't figure out the angle to get it in there without hurting her. But I don't think either of us was expecting it to be amazing on the first try, so I wasn't really disappointed about it. Mostly I just remember being tired and happy to be married. K1 Cheryl says, my wife waited until marriage and I could only fit in halfway on our wedding night because it was too painful for her. It took a couple weeks before she was able to actually relax enough to get it all in. Still is painful-some though, and takes a few minutes for her to get me all the way in, somewhat better. Events Bunya says, honestly, pretty awesome. Not perfect, of course, but I believe it was worth the wait. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.